Hello and welcome back. We are gonna go over some lore things because I saw this video and I thought, well, why not? Oh, I should probably. There we go. I saw this video and I was like, oh, it's the are the Shadowlands a Titan construct? I felt like it was told long ass time ago when the Shadowlands ended, but let's go over it and see what she's trying to say, what they are trying to say. Oh, wrong thing. Haha. I know, I like this too. Nice little jam that I have for the beginning and the ending. Now, Shadowlands.
Wrong with the Shadowlands. You know what I'm going to say.
If eh. Why do you not want to click?
Hello, mortals, Discordian kid.
I wanted to restart it. Please stop.
What is wrong with the Shadowlands? You know what
Everything.
I'm going to say. Hello, mortals, Discordian Kitty here. Midnight's third and final opening raid, the March on Quel'Danas.
That in itself was already its own little thing that I. Dude, the entire thing wrong with Shadowlands was a lot, but because I was playing a shaman, an enhancement shaman, and if you were playing Shadowlands during those times, it was fucking epic. The first time an enhancement shaman was like, here, we're kind of throwing away this game, so here, you take all of this, because somebody decided to put all this shit into it. So, those were good fucking times. I'm just saying that now.
Ended with a surprise visit from... Look, if you haven't played through it yourself yet, this
Right.
is your warning. I'm going to be discussing the March on Quel'Danas raid finale. A surprise
even
visit
better.
from Sylvanas Windrunner, who
True.
has repeated something that she actually already told us in the lead up to midnight. Something is very wrong with the Shadowlands. What could it possibly be?
The
Anything.
Shadowlands are not at all what they seem. I cannot rest until I've uncovered the truth.
If you know me at all, you already know I've been saying something is wrong with the Shadowlands for a very long time. Specifically, I don't believe that the jailer we met while we were there ever was the actual jailer. I believe the Primus is the real jailer, and obviously that's going to play a role in what I think about Sylvanas' statement.
Yes, but at the same time, you have to remember, when Shadowlands ended, or before it ended, the script for the OG, the original concept for the Shadowlands came through, and that did have the Primus as the original villain of the Shadowlands. But then they changed it all for Zilval and such. When you played it back then, it felt kind of like, so they fucked it up. But it doesn't mean that all of that could be changed to be an underlying thing where all of that comes up now. Where we're going to see the Primus become evil and everyone else follow up or kind of being like, oh, what the fuck happened? Which is kind of. I like the idea because at least they're trying to bring back the original concept of what the Shadowlands story was supposed to be. Unless that was all a lie and they were just being what Blizzard does, and it's like, oh, well, yeah. So.
But there is more to it than that. A lot more. I suspect the Shadowlands, as we know them, was never meant to be that way. And that this is all part of the same wider conspiracy that threatens our own world soul. Our first hint that something was wrong with the Shadowlands was, well, when we first got there and hated it, obviously.
Right.
The correct answer to what's wrong with the Shadowlands is, how much time do you have? But snark aside, from the moment we visited the Shadowlands beyond the brief period we spent running back to our own body, the problem with the Shadowlands was inherent. Death is meant to be unknowable. Once you make something like that knowable, you ruin it. Catching glimpses of the afterlife is fine, provided they remain mysterious and behind a veil. But knowing the details of death devalues death. It's hard to feel a lot of concern about characters dying when we know we can just pop into the afterlife and chat to them at any time. Introducing the Shadowlands as a real place that we can visit was always a bad idea and caused exactly the sort of problems in Azeroth's story that you might expect something like that to cause.
I would say it would be a bad idea, but at the same time, uh, just for spoilers, for if anybody already knew or not, when the Shadowlands ended and we got the full concept, a lot of the lore people that we know Bell and good portion of the other people who do lore, whether it's animated, funny. There's another Platinum WoW or others as well. They kind of dismissed the Shadowlands store and lore as story, not a store. Their lore and story as a full-on the residents of the Shadowlands, specifically the brokers and everyone else who was like, oh my god, the first ones. Because you never hear anyone, usually anyone, from the Covenants talk about the first ones. They talk about the creators. And then later to be told, this place was just a place for the Titans to come through and create everything for their plan. It does bring the concept of death, but then we are also told the concept of death isn't necessarily just here, it's also in a bunch of different worlds that just collect souls. But, you know, that was a long ass time ago. I don't know how much has changed and how much they've retconned it, which a lot of us do hope they have been retconning it. But let's see what is happening.
Thankfully, the narrative itself is making an attempt to heal around this damage, and it's
Right.
beginning by acknowledging the
Right.
problem. Sylvanas first told us something is wrong with the Shadowlands during the Midnight Pre-patch, when we visited her in the moor with Arator. While exploring the moor, Arator notes it's not quite what he expected.
I expected the maw to be alien, unknowable. But these structures are...
Right?
Familiar. I agree. I have seen past the veil of true death, Arator. There is more to the Shadowlands than it seems.
Later, Sylvanas confirms with us that something is wrong.
Arator is correct about one thing. I am a Windrunner. And I have not forgotten where I came from. But as I
was about to say, like, why is the bird orange? And I'm like, oh, she's playing a Horty. She's a goblin. That's why. I'm like, this bird was always green for me. What the hell? Sorry, it's the only thing I caught right there.
told him, now is not the time for me to return to the world of the living. You have noticed, have you not? The Maw, the Shadowlands, all of it. The question that has plagued me since the jailer's demise. I know the truth of death better than most. This, it is too convenient, too ordered.
So, first things first. The term ordered is not so much a hint that the Titans are at least partly to blame for the Shadowlands' weirdness, as an outright declaration. The Titans are the representatives of the order section of the cosmological chart.
Like I said, the Titans go around to claim planets as much as the Void is doing the same thing, but I presume everything else in between is doing that too. Whether it be the Titans, the Wild Gods, the Burning Legion, well, I guess the Burning Legion isn't much, but the Undead, the necromantic parts of the world are still out there. The Old Gods, which are like the Void beings, the Titans, the ones that are usually fighting in between each other that we've seen, the Wild Gods, the Burning Legion, I presume are gone, and then this one. I like this. So there's like a full planet of just necromancy. I want to see that. And then you see all these little ones. These are the elements. You know, like the elements that come through on Earth. They're also vying for control because they're the ones that are usually born on the planets. The spirits, the fires, and all of that. I always love this term. Sorry, I'll let it keep going, my bad.
A quick glance around the Shadowlands, and it does quickly become apparent what Sylvanas is talking about. A lot of the structures around the Shadowlands share similarities with structures we associate with order. There's an overabundance of geometric shapes and layouts, especially when it comes to anything that was created by the first ones, like Oribos or the Sepulchre of the first ones. The similarities don't end there. The first ones, like the Titans, seem to be very keen on creating sentient robots to keep things running. From keepers to whatever this thing is, both groups just seem to end up with a ton of mechanical creatures all over the place. The Shadowlands even has its own version of the cosmological chart, something we've only ever seen before in Chronicles, which was canonically written from the perspective of the Titans. You may argue, well, the first ones created everything, including the Titans. So it makes sense that the...
No, The first ones are the Titans. Period. Everyone there is crazy, as told by Blizzard. I'm just saying.
Titans may share some similarities with their creators, but that doesn't explain why the realm of death would be so specifically ordered to the point where even Sylvanas is commenting on it. Interestingly, the Chronicles themselves claim the first ones are a myth. According to Chronicle Volume 4, though this tome previously set forth the creation of the physical universe, the pantheon of death believed differently. A myth has taken root in the Shadowlands, centered around a group of mysterious and enigmatic beings known as the First Ones.
They're all crazy.
We have been told before that the Chronicles are written from the perspective of the Titans, and that they may not always contain the whole truth. A necessary distinction, since the Chronicles are also canonically in-universe history books, and therefore can only be biased in the same way that all history books cannot help but be written from the bias of the society they're written in. But we also have evidence that the Titans do, in fact, believe in the first ones. The book Edicts of the Prime Designate, volume 742, contains 3 edicts that the Titan Keeper Odin put into place long ago, soon after mortals first began emerging on Azeroth. The purpose of these edicts was very much to control the mortal perspective of both reality and the Titans. And the 3rd edict directly forbids telling mortals about the first one. 3rd, do not share knowledge of the first ones. Mortals could not conceive of the wonders that the Makers granted to the Titans in Zereth Ordis. Thus, learning of the progenitors would only confuse them. It is enough that mortals know the Titans brought order to the cosmos, and that they are owed deference. The wonders that the Makers granted the Titans in Zereth Ordis. We have never been to Zereth Ordis before, but we have visited Zereth Mortis. Supposedly, this is a realm that was crafted by the First Ones to act as a workshop for the realms of death. From here, the First Ones populated the Shadowlands with everything from their Eternal Ones, created by combining a powerful soul with an equally powerful vessel, to an infinite number of afterlives. This process is carried out by an enormous forge of afterlives, which hangs in the center of the zone and is the zone's most defining feature. You can bet we're going to come back to this forge in a moment, but for now I'd like to highlight the claim that the First Ones granted the Titans some sort of one.
Side note, I couldn't have made that bird. During that time, you were able to make all those animals, bees, and everything else. I couldn't make that fucking bird. I didn't have enough time before the expansion ended. I can go back, but I sold everything. Yeah. Anyway, going back to the lore.
In their own Zereth Ordis. A quick note on the etymology here. We know from the Grimoire of the Shadowlands that the word Zereth means keystone or cornerstone in the World of Warcraft universe. The rest is basic Pig Latin, one of World of Warcraft's favorite languages to use. Zereth Mortis is found in the realm of death. Zereth Ordis, naturally, is in the realm of order. And you may not remember this because a lot of people weren't still playing Shadowlands at the time, but the main reason why we went to Zereth Mortis is because the Eternal Ones, who rule over the Shadowlands, weren't allowed. It was forbidden to them by the First Ones. Zoval, or as I like to think of him, the true jailer's puppet, the Primus is the jailer, committed a great act of sacrilege by forcibly invading this realm. And the other Eternal Ones couldn't follow him, not even to stop him, because they had to obey the First Ones. So they sent us instead. The Primus would later project his own image into Zereth Mortis, which, if you ask me, is like a child holding their finger just inches from another child's face while chanting, "I'm not touching you," but that's neither here nor there right now. The important thing is the Eternal Ones.
There's a big-ass gray area in that fucking thing, but go on.
Were not allowed to visit their realms. Zereth were forbidden so thoroughly that it's a
like non-important gray area kind of thing. It's like, yeah, he sent an image of himself, but he didn't send himself kind of thing. It's like, you know, it's like the commandments or any kind of rule. There's always a loophole or something that you can do kind of. Okay, the commandments probably were not a great thing, but you know, like it's like a rule. So there are just loopholes and things that you can do that could be sent over there in that direction. 2, now that I think about it too, he does have, unless that comes up as his image shows up, then I guess that makes sense too. It's been a while. Shadowlands was like what? 3, 4 expansions ago? Well, if you count Midnight, we're in Midnight, The War Within, Dragon House, and then Shadowlands. Like 4. Yeah. That was also like 2020, 2021 area, so 5 years ago. 4. Sorry, 5 or 4 years ago. My bad.
Command that stuck with them for centuries, even long after the ones who gave it had long since disappeared. So why were the Titans allowed to visit their Zereth? Not only allowed, but granted wonders. That hardly seems fair. Which brings me to something that's bothered me for a while. We've been told that, as far as power goes, the Eternal Ones are just like the Titans. They're pretty much the death equivalent, which just doesn't seem to be true. For a start, the Eternal Ones are smaller, and I realize this could just be down to perspective. We have certainly seen smaller versions of the Titans, usually when we're dealing with an avatar of that Titan or a greatly weakened version of the Titan. But size isn't always an exact measurement in World of Warcraft, I understand that. Still, one of the reasons why the Titans are called Titans is because they're literally titanic. They're planet-sized. Like, that's why we have this whole problem with the giant sword sticking out of Azeroth. Because when Sargeras, a Titan, stabbed Azeroth, his sword was that big because that's just how big he is. Titans are beyond our comprehension big.
Speaking of, though, Rip Silithus, never to be remade until we remove that fucking thing. Hopefully in the next expansion when the Titans come back. But it sits there as an ornament for the time being. So if you want to go, just go to Silithus. If you see the army camp, just go click your map in Silithus and talk to where the chat bubble is, and that time walking dragon will send you back to the original or to the present version with the big old sword. It's small information if you guys still need to see the sword.
Eternal Ones are not. Oh, they're big. They're very big. I have to really crane my neck on my goblin to look up at the Winter Queen, for example. But she hangs out inside a tree in the middle of her realm, which isn't even Azeroth-sized. I guess she's a little undersized here so that she fits inside the tree, but at no point have we ever seen her or any of the other Eternal Ones reach the size of Sargeras. In general, their sizes have been more in keeping with, well, the Keepers, like Freya or Tyr. They have a lot in common with the Keepers, actually.
That would make sense.
It's possible that size doesn't matter. I get it. That is sometimes true. You're right, I promise. But then there's that whole robot thing. One of the biggest controversies of the Shadowlands was that the Eternal Ones turned out to basically be robots, and that was really unpopular. During the Sepulchre of the First One's raid, we got to face and defeat the failed prototype versions of the Pantheon of Death. According to the Dungeon Journal, these beings lacked the cosmic spirits of the Eternal Ones. During the Zereth Mortis questline, we also helped put together our own Eternal One, using an appropriate vessel, very similar to the one used by Zoval, and an appropriately powerful soul. The word cosmic suggests an Eternal One would need a cosmic-sized soul to function, like a world soul. So yes, in that sense, the Eternal Ones would be similar to the Titans in a way that would suggest the Titans themselves are constructs, just like the Eternal Ones and their own keepers. Weirdly, Zereth Mortis happened to keep appropriately sized souls on hand in the crypts of the Eternal, something I always found exceptionally strange. Why are there crypts in the afterlife? Why are these souls being stored like an ingredient rather than, I don't know, frolicking in their own version of heaven? Either way, we actually end up using a mortal soul instead. What
I was gonna say is just like everything there is powered on energy of souls. You see everybody, originally how it was supposed to go as it was told through the game. The souls would feed in through the Shadowlands. They go into Revendreth as they all judge and then separate to the rest of the Shadowlands. Some to Necropolis, some stay there in Revendreth. Others stay in Maldraxxus, others in the Kyrian area, and others in the forest. And each one goes to depending on how you live, right? Defenders and warriors go to Maldraxxus. Those that were aristocrats, powerful, political and shit, stay in Revendreth. Those who are that of nature, Druid, the fucking Shah, and every other world boss that resurrects, goes to the forest. And then if you are that of holy priests and so forth, that kind of concept of righteous order, you go with the Kyrian. That's how it was originally, and then Zoval, how the story goes, Zoval takes power and everything is flooded with the help of the leader of the Venthyr sent to the Maw. So it's not that the power can't be used for anything else, it's just they all got dipped into the Maw. The Maw is basically the hell version of Shadowlands, right? That's what we were told originally of what the Shadowlands is and how it works. Just that when we got there, the souls were being dipped into the Zoval, Sylvanas, all that other stuff. That is not how you play. Press play, that's the streaming device, this is the video. Click
Soul
play.
of Pelagos the Kyrian. This is good enough to create a new Arbiter, who remains quite small, far more keeper-sized than Titan-sized. Then, during Dragonflight, we followed a very similar quest.
Here.
This time, a message from Tyr helped us reforge a new vessel for his soul. We followed pretty much the exact same steps we followed to create Arbiter Pelagos. First, we obtained the vessel, empty but powerful enough to contain a soul. Then, we infused the vessel with the right soul. In this case, the soul of Tyr, effectively resurrecting the Keeper. It's just very hard to personally make an Eternal One and a Keeper following the same basic recipe and not conclude they're basically the same thing. Now, does this mean the Eternal Ones are Titan constructs? Hard to say. For a start, why wouldn't the Titans tell them? We created you, we're your gods, all that. It's possible that the Titans learned how to make their constructs from the first ones in Zereth Ordis. One of those marvels they apparently learned from them. And so that's why the Eternal Ones and the Titan Forged are so similar. But
Unless, when the Titans were first controlling power, the Shadowlands was the first area they got to, and they started practicing, right? They have the entire construct for in Zereth Mortis that they can make bots, make things, and they probably learn. I'm just throwing that out there because I want to say it does kind of connect to it once it's, because when you come back to Azeroth, what do they make? The dwarves. We see the version of dwarves that they make in every game, whether it is, I don't want to say Dark Iron dwarves. They've already been existed during the original war, but like the Titan dwarves, those that we find in dwarves or small little mechanomes who are full full robotic, right? It looks kind of very similar in the construct style of those in the Shadowlands. Well, not really. They look a lot more modern. They have gold trims. But I want to say that without the construct of Zereth Mortis, when they came to Azeroth, they made everything from stone, from azurite, and everything else that the planet was offering, compared to this, where they had a full construct machine to make robots. But I'm going with that. They came to the Shadowlands first during their full takeover thing, and they're like, we can make things. I could totally believe that. I don't know, everything she's telling me, it's for someone who played the Shadowlands long ago and only got little bits of information from here and there or the company. It's kind of more like, it's kind of not hard to believe, but it's just kind of like, this feels weird from what the information they gave us originally. They did have a bunch of the books that told you one thing over the other, but those were also drops from like random ass fucking people. So it's like, goddamn, I don't want to go searching for all that shit. I'm just putting in my 2 cents. But besides that, let us continue with the original myth.
But either way, there is still definitely a major difference in power and influence between the Pantheon of Order and the so-called Pantheon of Death. The fact is, the Eternal Ones just seem quite limited when compared to the Titans. The Titans have been traveling around the universe, establishing their order all over the place, claiming world souls. The Eternal Ones just hang out in their realms. The Titans got to visit Zereth Ordis and be granted wonders. The Eternal Ones are not allowed into their Zereth. It makes you wonder if the Titans were invited or just sort of invited themselves into their Zereth orders.
I could
But
believe the
more on
second
that
one
later.
more than the first one.
The Eternal Ones are also not the only constructs in the Shadowlands. Zereth Mortis is essentially populated with constructs, namely the
Putting something
Ultima,
else, sorry.
who we're told were created by the first ones to take care of the realm.
Right.
We even got our own little Ultima guy. Remember
Yeah.
Pock? Yeah, I also
Poco
need to
Pock.
keep in touch and totally forgot after we left. But hey, who cares about a clanker anyway, right? Constructs tend to be...
Woman, you get him as a pet. Use the motherfucking pet. End of story. He is not a clanker. The ball. Just like ball in Overwatch. He will fuck shit up. But he was a massive key to a lot of things that you would have to do in the Zereth Mortis. So regardless if you go back or not, they're gonna give you Pokepuck and all of his 82 bajillion cosmetics. Those are great.
very much a Titan thing. They call them Titan Forged. The Keepers, obviously, but there's also the Watchers, the Earthen, the Mechanome, the Vrykul. You get it. The Titans like to build robots, so finding a bunch of robots in Zereth Mortis just feels very familiar. Zereth Mortis is also about as geometric as you can get. The whole idea is it's supposed to be mathematical, you know, because maths is the language of creation, I guess. It still comes across about as ordered as a zone could be. Like Zereth Mortis, even the ripples in the water make perfect geometrical shapes. It should be called Zereth Orders, am I right? I mean,
I can see that actually. That would be a better naming point for it. But we have to remember. The original person who wrote this, everyone saw like everyone didn't know how it was gonna go, right? Because the writer ended up leaving or was fired after. I think he left. I think the original writer for this left after. But I agree. That should have probably been the name for the fucking area. Here, watch.
Shapes. It should be called Zereth Orders, am I right?
There we
I
go,
mean,
see?
I am right though, right?
I like it. I like it better.
A realm of death.
No, it
looks
doesn't.
like a realm of order.
Of order,
the Maw
yeah.
was convincingly death-like in the,
Oh, definitely.
oh god, let's try to avoid this fate.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then when you come across the fucking, it was from the cinematic. When we look at Sylvanas, it was either the cinematic or it's a different cinematic, where Sylvanas is either breaking the helm and you see the sky as there is another tower connecting, like from forked prong to another forked prong, almost positioned exactly where it is, of the Ice Crown Citadel in Northrend and the Sanctum of Domination. I was like, oh shit, that's actually pretty dope when it was first came out, because there's an entire thing. And then when you go into that, I feel like that was the best raid cosmetically, like how it looked, right? It's like you were basically going into the ICC again, except it was dark. There's domination magic, dark magic, death everywhere. Great. I loved it.
By any means possible kind of way, and Sylvanas considers that to be too ordered.
We're
What would
fine.
she think of Zereth Mortis? And hanging right at the center of Zereth Mortis is this giant forge of afterlives that looks
Yes.
for all the world like a Titan prison. Very much like the one we saw holding the primal incarnates during Dragonflight, which is very much like the structure in the last Titan logo. The structure that we suspect is currently around our own world soul, imprisoning it.
Are you insinuating that it's a cage that is holding something, whether it be the soul of that of the Shadowlands or another thing? Seeing as, yeah, like she was right. The dragons that we met, we befriended one, killed off another, and we're waiting for the third one to come back. They were all entrapped in those kind of Titan-like locks. But speaking of, though, of Titan locks and so forth that happens throughout all the game, that we find similar locking mechanisms like that. You ever think maybe like when the Titans arrive next expansion, they're gonna be like, why the fuck did you unleash everything? Why'd you unlock this? Why'd you do that? Why the fuck are you breaking everything we set up? Is the first thing I expect the Titans are gonna say when they find us, and they'll be like, "The fuck have you been doing with the shit we laid out?" We're just gonna be sitting there like, "Give us our Legion weapon artifacts back. We want those weapons back." Oh, that'd be actually pretty dope if that happens.
According to one of the archives quests from the War Within, our world soul is currently surrounded by a construction known as the World Core. By the sounds of it, Azeroth is not happy about this and has made attempts to free herself before.
To protect it, we had the Earthen construct the World Core, a vast chamber at the heart of the world. There, the world soul will slumber, with only the Titans to influence it.
Yeah, but
I
it's
must
awake.
note a disturbing development. As they worked to greater depths, some Earthen began to behave erratically.
Right.
This could not be countenanced. Most units were repaired and continued their work, but some began to physically change and crystallize. They named themselves Thragar.
Thragar.
These faulty units were so greatly affected that they rebelled against us, attacking and damaging the World Core.
Do it more. Do it more!
In the course of studying them, it was determined that long exposure to the World Soul's energies led to the changes exhibited in their core directives.
Free will.
So, could the Forge of Afterlives also be some sort of Titan prison? It's a thought. I will mention that the runes on the Forge of Afterlives are definitely different from, say, the ones on the World Soul Saga logo. But that isn't necessarily a problem. During the main Zereth Mortis quest sign, much is made of the language of the first ones, which the Primus realizes is helping the Ultima resist his domination magic. The fact that the Primus wants us to help him perfect the language he created to dominate others against their will isn't shady at all. The Primus is the jailer. But the point is, this language is powerful and could probably be used as runes of binding on, say, a prison. Either way, in the same way that the Forge of Afterlives is surrounded by Ultima whose purpose is to help maintain it, originally the Titans had plenty of their their Titan forged around the World Core, but Azeroth's influence started to change them, convincing them to break her free. To stop this, the Titans took extreme measures. But even then, the reason why we have these records is because Azeroth's influence got through to the Titan Keeper Arcadus.
With the danger posed by the rogue Thragar, the great Amon Thul ordered the rebellion to be quelled, and the Thragar hunted down until the threat was neutralized. However, the issue of Earthen malfunction under the influence of the World Soul's energies remained, and so a new solution was devised. The Earthen of Khaz-Algar will relinquish their memories into an archive to preserve recorded data and purge the influence of the World Soul's energies.
Ah.
By initiating this protocol on a regular cadence, we will ensure the Thragar malfunction does not take hold again. To secure compliance, the Titans have programmed edicts into the operational Earthen to regulate and enforce their discrete functions and efficiency. Thus, the Earthen will maintain the integrity of the Coreway and the machines of Khaz-Algar. Should the edicts be broken, more permanent failsafes have been set into place.
More permanent? Like...
With these difficulties behind them, the Titans have declared that the World Soul remains, dreaming, safely contained within the World Core, where no harm will come to it. I do not know why I commit this information to the archive, why I risk its discovery in the future. Perhaps the World Soul's influence does not extend solely to the Earthen.
Yeah, on the plus side, you have free will, which has been pointed by many people as like the many people from all the historian people on World of Warcraft. I mean, like not like in game, but you know the people who do lore stuff in WoW, such as this person and many others. That you know that the World Soul's influence, it's so damn hard. It reaches to the top side of the planet. It's not just on the bottom side, but the top side. It's also what they say is the reasoning why when the Void arrive here, they get very selfish and they're like, I will rule the entire Void as a leader. Because free will is getting to the heads of those rulers. Those rulers also trying to be in a hive mind with their brothers, and each one failing one after another as they gain this free will, as they say. And as they say, it's a free will of sorts. Because it sounds very selfish of them, right? And we expect all Void Gods to be this way. Who knows? Maybe at one point or another, Xal'atath will feel this because we weren't always on Azeroth. She will probably feel this as time continues. Because I think the last part of the expansion, we were out by their original home planet of the Ethereal, right? Granted, yeah, we were always in Kal Zagar, which is on Azeroth. So she's probably somewhat feeling this at one point or another. Maybe she is, as she's already betrayed the other Voidlings. Granted, they already kind of gave her shit for everything. This too. I'm just rambling. We're gonna continue. My bad.
The Titans are quite happy to take extreme measures if things start to interfere with their order. That's something that was established long ago with the constellar Algalon the Observer, whose job was to destroy Azeroth completely if it ever looked like the Titans' grip on the world was slipping. That's what constellars do. They work with the Titans. According to
Right.
Chronicle 1, to aid the Pantheon, Aman'Thul called upon a mysterious race known as the Constellar. These celestial beings observed the many worlds ordered by the Titans, staying vigilant for any sign of instability. When it was necessary, the Constellar could initiate a fail-safe procedure to scour life from a world in the hopes of resetting its evolutionary process. Oh hey, there's a Constellar in the Sepulchre of the First Ones.
Right.
What's he doing there? What's
He's a
he
bot,
there
isn't
for?
he?
The Sepulchre of the First Ones is one of those locations that can't help but feel like a Titan facility. We get more of the geometric shapes, more constructs, more mechanics. It's actually revealed at the end that it contains a massive...
That's the part that tripped me out so hard. This is the dungeon from Wrath of the Lich King that we were told this is part of the Shadowlands when Arthas came through. Because when you look down, I always wondered what the fuck were those big ass things? They look like fucking tunnels. No, they're fucking turbines. Those turbines are to like pull the soul and send its energy upwards. And it was like, oh fuck, what the hell? I know I'm jumping super far ahead of this, and I'm just like, oh my god, because I remember when this first hit me, I was like, holy shit, that was underneath there. Because every time I went in there, I'd always look down and I'm like, what's that down there? And I was like 13, 14, no. Well, I have to do the math now, fuck. I was like somewhere between 14 and 16 years old when I first started playing World of Warcraft. And that was at like the very end, towards the end of Burning Crusade. I come through here and I get to 80 with my friends and so forth. And I was, out of my group, I was the only one to look down and just be like, you guys ever notice that? What the hell is that? That has to be for something, right? And there was nowhere in the game that explained it. And then when the Shadowlands rolled out, like right when the pandemic started, it was just like, oh shit, this is what it was for. This was what was the entire fucking plan. I'm like, oh shit. Granted, most of the story already kind of didn't really feel right to me, but this part I was just like, oh fuck, I like that. They were able to pull something from way long ass time ago and put it part of the story that was Zen. So I did like that part. And even now, during midnight, we're going back to the pit of Sauron. And I'm trying to figure out, why are we going to the pit of Sauron? You know? Well, I mean, that was supposed to be a pit where they were mining a shitload of the ore there. The ore that was supposed to be uh the Saronite, which is supposed to be like an ore mixed in with the blood of an old god that was there, right? Of whatever his name was at the very bottom of Ulduar. It was supposed to be his blood that spread throughout all of Northrend, and he's they're dead now, and there's probably Saronite everywhere still. But I would want to presume there's something to do with the Saronite in the pit of Sauron that has the blood of an old god. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, but that's probably the same reason why they threw the Forge of Souls into the Shadowlands during one of their seasons. Because the Forge of Souls was the Forge of fucking Souls, as it shot all those souls back up into the Sanctum of Domination when the veil was ripped open above Shadowlands. Yeah. I don't know, that shit excited me. And now it excites me to understand why is it in the pit, why is the pit of Sauron in midnight? Because we don't think about it too much, right? Granted, we didn't know this was gonna fucking happen. And I was like, but at the same time, what would it be for the pit of Sauron? Just that the old god blood inside the Saronite that's there in the mine? Maybe? I don't know. Point being, I like the implications of why are they putting things in back. Now, before I keep judging on into something random, let's continue.
A massive device called the Machine of Origination that looks like a Titan machine. Even the name is familiar. The Forge of Origination on Azeroth is a massive Titan device that can, among other things, destroy the planet. Anyway, when the puppet Zoval activates the machine, the Primus is the jailer, it also activated machinery under Icecrown Citadel in Northrend. Just so much Titan machinery for a realm that isn't supposed to be associated with the Titans. The Sepulchre of the First Ones has also always had quite a strange name. Sepulchre. It's the only thing that's even remotely relevant to the theme of death in Zereth Mortis, other than the word mortis. Sepulchre. Tomb. It was always a hint that the First Ones are already dead, but who exactly were the First Ones? Chronicles claims there were 6 or 7 First Ones. Light, shadow, order, disorder, life, and death. Some believed in a 7th power, but its nature was unclear. These First Ones existed in constant conflict with each other until opposition became balance and balance became creation. And
right, that's the order of what the worlds are as we see the light, the void, order and disorder, the concept of being set up in each world, right? Life and death, and so forth. It's basically the Titans versus the void and every other order around, which is interesting always to think about. And then they always talk about the 7th. They call it by planet, right? In the other stuff, it's always by planet. You have a planet of light, a planet of shadow, order, disorder, life, death, da da da. But keeping it into the concept of like these first ones existed in constant conflict with one another, while the Titans have kind of secured that of order. Others, disorder. The realm of death, which would be part shadow. But these are the only ones they talk about. Because I thought they were supposed to be void, not shadow. Because shadow was supposed to be that of death. I'm more intrigued into what.
Yes, those names are the major forces on the cosmological chart. Light, shadow, order, disorder, life, and death. This is in keeping with literature we find in Zereth Mortis as well.
Oh, I mean, now if you look at it, yeah, sure. It feels a little bit more, right? Because you have the overbearing of the light and everything else that she was talking about, shadow, order, and life. But then you have the magic of it, where life is nature, the light is holy, disorder fell, Death, necromancy, necromantic, shadow, void, order, arcane, with those of the Titans, right? The Naru, the wild gods, the Titans, the old gods, the undead, and the burning leaf. You know, I never really went over the chart before. I usually just but it's usually easier that way too, right? A reality. Oh, it's right here. The Emerald Dream and the Shadowland. They're connected to our reality. The Emerald Dream is supposed to be like, I like how they're connected to us. While we could see the Shadowlands more of like a hell, would that mean that the Emerald Dream would be a heaven? I'll probably do an entire just guessimize thing on some lore that I don't.
Where the broker Furum speaks about his research into 6 or
Right.
possibly 7 forces that need to stay in balance. The 6 forces pointed towards a 7th and yet denied it. For a long while, I considered this seeming contradiction no more than another variable, an unknown waiting to be solved. It was both 6 and 7. The 6 were one and the 7th the other.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Ah.
I have seen how fragile the pattern is, how delicate the scales that keep the 6 forces in balance. On both the Order and Death cosmological charts, the 7th force is represented with an image of our own world. It's named Reality on the Titan chart and the Great Cycle on the Death one, but either way, that's Azeroth. And now we know that Azeroth contains not only a world soul, but the prime world soul. Something that the Titans were specifically searching for millennia. Prime is, of course, another word for first.
To create order from the chaos of the cosmos, the Titans search the great dark beyond for the prime world soul.
Whoa.
This world soul, the most powerful in existence, they would guide to become the greatest Titan of all. In time, they came to sense a mighty presence within the world called Azeroth.
Yep.
And
that's
if
ours.
Azeroth takes up the 7th place on the cosmological chart, which is the chart of first ones, and also takes up the most important and powerful position, and is the most important and powerful prime world soul, the obvious conclusion to make is that Azeroth is the mysterious 7th force that all the other forces are both a part of and balanced around. We've known for a while that the cosmological forces are still at war with each other, each trying to gain an upper hand in the chart, and also that it's very important they remain balanced. We also know there's been a lot of cosmological interest in our world soul. If any one of the cosmological forces did manage to claim our world soul, it forevermore would tip the balance in their favor, and that force would rule the universe. So you can see why the Titans might want it. We already have plenty of evidence that the Titans have successfully imprisoned the world soul of Azeroth, and that their plans to claim her are well underway. Iridikron's entire plan hinges on the Titans being so upset when Xalatath pries the world soul from their grasp, they show up in person.
Tell me, little one, have you ever questioned why the Titans preserve this timeline?
The Titans safeguard our world from monsters like you!
Your faith means nothing to them. As you burn in the flames of my brother's wrath, they will not come. All they wanted was our world. With this, the Harbinger will pry it from their grasp. And when the Titans come to reclaim their prize, I will be waiting.
What has really surprised me in Midnight is the fact that Azeroth's world soul has apparently been moved. You can move world souls. Weird.
That was weird as fuck. Yeah. I was like, wait, it was here and you're what? It's that small indie company crap.
Eternia worship a goddess that we know is Azeroth because Orwena's visions have shown us it's Azeroth.
Goddess, where must I go?
That's the world soul.
They live in Harandar because they were trying to find this goddess. But by the time they got to Harandar, she was gone, and not by choice.
Countless generations ago, our people walked beneath the trees of the Great Mountain. None knew of our presence, not the giant whose steps shook the earth, nor her massive beasts. In times of quiet, we felt empty. We longed for purpose.
Right.
Our longing was answered by a song from the depths of the world.
Yep. You had to go through this when you play Shadowlands. Or Midnight, sorry. Not Shadowlands, Midnight.
Not all heeded the goddess's call, but Biharati followed the song.
Mm-hmm.
The journey was long and very difficult. We faced many hardships on the way.
Anghara's song was just an echo. The goddess was gone when they arrived. Without her, the land was falling apart. After all the trials and journeys, we hoped to find purpose. Instead, we found discord and death.
The goddess had been ripped violently from her cradle. To this day, a place known as the Rift of Alm is filled with echoes of the anguish she felt at this violent kidnapping. The now empty Cradle of Roots is the iconic central feature of the zone. The implication is that the Titans kidnapped our baby world soul. It is also a little more complicated than that, because they also helped build the cradle she was sleeping in to begin with. At least one of them did. The Titan Aenar, the one who looks most like she belongs to the cosmological force of life rather than order, the one we found hiding out on the planet Elunaria, was given a branch from the Tree of Life by her friend Elune, who is associated with the cosmological force of life. That branch grew into Elunahir, the very first world tree on Azeroth. But Aman'Thul, leader of the Titans, was really mad about it, and he ripped out the tree. "This is not order," he bellowed. "You have infected this world with uncontrolled chaos." The High Father took hold of the world tree's trunk and tore it from the earth. Aenar was very upset, and she cried a great deal, but eventually she realized that the tree wasn't completely destroyed. Its roots remained in our world. She decided not to tell Aman'Thul about it, and all of the world trees of Azeroth are connected to those roots. Over time, guardians arose to protect the roots.
Right, we were told that. But then when Legion came around, one of those trees got corrupted. And, what's his name? Xavius. The very guy who wants to kill off, what's his name? Malfurion. He wants to kill off Malfurion and Tyrande because they're like all druidy life and shit. And you have to go through them through Legion. The tree burns down, of course. Tildersill burns down. And a lot of these other things burn down. The weird part, though, is or something happens to the tree in Legion. I'm not exactly remembering what happens, but there was trees that just burned down, like Tildersill. And I can't remember if that tree burned down or if it was a different tree. But the point being, the trees that was in Legion, those roots are in Midnight. So, as much as we're going back to the Shadowlands with the last cinematic with Sylvanas, at least that seems like the most thing to do, right? Because she does talk about how I don't even know your name, I'm so sorry. Discordian Kitty talked about it. we are most likely going back to the Shadowlands. And my entire concept of that wasn't even because of that, but I guess I'll talk about that later. Because I like the Elunar hair, and their talk about the roots, and that always brings me to the idea: the tree in Legion, and the roots are down here. Are we gonna come back and see Xavius down here? Maybe in the probably next patches or so. I could totally see that.
Harania. The roots of Harandar are the roots of Eluna here, and they are the reminder that a Titan with strong connections to life directly rebelled against their leader's order. And by all accounts, Azeroth was quite happy in that cradle. Aenar's obvious allegiance to life rather than order has always been a bit weird. But what is extra confusing is Elune's part in all of this. Elune is not only very clearly Aenar's girlfriend, she is also the Winter Queen's sister. She is represented by Azeroth's moon, but it's been established she's worshipped on other planets as well. She's meant to be immeasurably powerful, and yet when the Winter Queen called out to her, she wasn't able to do a whole lot to help. I have wondered for ages what is going on with Elune, and whether or not she too might be imprisoned in some way. As I said, Elune is supposed to be associated with the realm of life, and her sister is an eternal one of death. But she also has ties to light and order. Her followers are priests, just like followers of the light. The Tauren worship her as Musha, the moon, alongside their sun god, Anshi, the sun. Anduin sees her as an expression of the light. As for order, apart from the obvious relationship with Aenar, the Tears of Elune is one of the 5 pillars of creation, the Titan artifacts that could be used to shape the world. The other 4 pillars are all associated with the Titans, and the Tears of Elune is used to unlock the Light's heart, Anaru's sentient core, so there's another association with the light. If you're expecting me to reach some revolutionary conclusion about Elune, I'm afraid I don't have one. It's all very weird. I'm confused too. But I do think it's possible Elune is a victim of the Titans, who have been
I can totally believe it. There's always stories of Elune. Oh, she's this, she's that, this, that. I even heard points like, Elune's a fucking void god. It's like, wait, what? But during the time, But during the time, it was very acceptable. But again, it's just a bunch of people talking on World of Warcraft, and it's just like, yes, no, maybe, yeah, but yeah. And then, of course, here I remember this scene. This scene was like super sad. Elune finally finds out about her people all dying, and the children still so sad. Now, continuing or more rambling.
aggressively taking over the universe for some time. Maybe Aenar is meant to replace her, or is a life being that is being held captive in a Titan-forged vessel as a hostage? I don't know for sure. I just know that if there is going to be some conflict with the Titans, Aman'Thul is likely to be the big bad guy, and Aenar is likely to be the Titan that helps us. One of those strange features of Aenar is her connection to the Emerald Dream. We were originally told that this was the realm that was created by Freya, the Titan Keeper most closely associated with Freya, and that it was a blueprint of our own reality. More recently, we've learned that the Emerald Dream is actually a realm of life that mirrors all of creation, not just our reality. The Rift of Aln exists in the Emerald Dream as well. In fact, according to the novel Storm Rage, the Emerald Dream originated from the Rift of Aln. Chronicles Volume 1 suggests the Emerald Dream is Azeroth's own dream, created while she slept. No doubt while she was still asleep in her cradle in the Rift of Aln. If you look at the Titan's cosmological chart again, I find it really interesting that the Emerald Dream is sort of in between life and our own realm, an extra addition to both.
I mean, that makes sense, right? Yeah. Well, I'm like looking at the top left part, the one above my character, and it's like you have all of that. You have nature, the wild gods, the spirits, and the water. That's the fucking Emerald Dream. And then you have the reality, which is where we live, our moon, I think another moon, or Draenor, who knows, or where the Fel are. The sun, we all love the sun. Then the Shadowlands, in between air, which it looked like it was all floating in the damn sky, and decay of the undead, and how all of that works. Necromancy. Yeah, I remember that.
The Emerald Dream isn't the realm of life so much as a combination of life and our place on the cosmological chart. A blueprint of our world, yes, but it turns out our world represents so much more than we thought. So also a
Yeah,
blueprint
a
of
lot
pretty
of
much
everything.
all of reality. And there's one other realm holding a similar position on the chart.
Sorry. I just saw the maw, the storm right here that covers everything. It got tiny. Getting tinier. It's getting tinier as we unlock shit. What was that?
The Shadowlands. Which brings me to what I think is wrong with the Shadowlands. The
Go on.
Titans. I guess that isn't some big revelation. Sylvanas
Yeah.
basically says that. I've also been showing evidence that the Titans have been going around the universe inflicting order all over the place, like it's some big conspiracy and not something the Titans have literally told us themselves they are doing. The Titans have been traveling around the universe, bringing order everywhere they go.
Fighting the void.
That's not news. I guess it's like one of those magic pictures. You know the ones. They were really big in the 90s.
I remember those. It's like it's a full image, but then when you look at it and pay attention to it, there's like a full indent, or it's a pareidolia. That's what it is. It's called a pareidolia. The only reason I know that more is because I play a shitload of zombies from Call of Duty. One of the songs when they go to Vietnam for their map is pareidolia. Everything I'm seeing is either real or it's fake. I'm either going crazy or I'm already dead. And I love that fucking song. But I digress. Those are the pictures way back in the 90s. I remember in my textbook when I was growing up, through the 90s, through school and shit, at the back of the book was always one of these like psychological test photos and such. And it's like, what do you see? And so forth. It was usually an airplane or a bus or something like that, but it was always cute and funny. But that's what these are called. They're pareidolia images.
You know what I'm talking about. At first they look like TV static. TV static is, you know what, never mind. The point is you can stare at them for ages and see nothing, and then suddenly an image floats into place.
Yep.
That's what the whole Titans ordering the universe thing has been like.
That was basically all of it, yeah.
They were doing it, but suddenly we're kind of realizing what that means. For a start, it's pretty bad, because the universe is supposed to be a balance of powers and not just order. I mean, unless that itself is something Order came up with, because it does sound super ordered, but let's set that aside for now. The Shadowlands has always been weird as a death realm, partly because it very clearly is not. You don't die when you get to the Shadowlands, you just don't get to rest. You get given a job. What kind of capitalistic and even...
It's like we went over this before. When you die, your soul goes into wherever. It's not just the Shadowlands it goes into. It's the world of light. The world, a different world can collect your soul. And you can be reborn through that. It's weird, but Shadowlands isn't necessarily death. I love the concept of it being death, but not how death works in this.
Weirder, you can die in the Shadowlands. And it's treated a lot like dying in the mortal realm. People grieve your passing. Your soul is considered gone. And there's war. In the afterlives, people fight and die in wars, and then also sometimes use body parts and necromantic magic to...
I mean, I don't think you should really count that, because all of Maldraxxus is just all war. But like, whenever I see that kind of war, for the story, it was war within each other. But when they get together there for their defending, because that entire island is for defending the entirety of the Shadowlands from other worlds. And when you go there, how they explain it to you, how it's supposed to be, the place is more like a Valhalla within the people. Especially with the big ass fucking arena in the middle where you can be like, yeah, throw your fucking people in there. We contend to fight because that's what we like to do. We train and defend the Shadowlands. This is where we practice our shit. But I know what she's trying to say.
Raise new undead bodies that look like members of the Scourge. There is an undead presence in the realms of death where everyone is supposed to be dead. But that's still not quite as dead, which is what happens when you die in the Shadowlands. After you're already dead, it's also weird. The structure of the Shadowlands is also very odd. Sure, there is an infinite number of afterlives, but the 5 most important, the ones to get their own eternal ones, are strange. Bastion's Kyrian cannot help but feel especially similar to the Titans. They even stick to their weird system, even when they knew they were just dumping people in the maw, because, get this, the order of the Shadowlands depended upon Bastion's execution of their eternal charge. Revendreth has some very questionable ethics, the sort I hope doesn't pass for wisdom in the afterlife. Maldraxxus is an army, which, I mean, of all the things you're hoping death might release you from, war is one of them, but apparently not. And Ardenweald is, well, that one makes sense at least. Ardenweald is fine. But even Ardenweald runs on anima, which comes from the souls that are sent to the Shadowlands.
Yeah, all of them.
The entire place runs on the fuel that is the souls of those who are sent to it. That is not an afterlife. That is an engine. And you know, Titans just love to make engines. I think if the Titans have motivation for interfering with the realms of death, I mean apart from their basic tendency to try bring order to things, that is hinted at by Sylvanas.
Death comes for all, Zalatan.
Right.
Even your wretched kind.
We'll finish this another time, perhaps.
This scene reinforces something we already knew, that the Void fears death. Xalatath seems particularly unhappy when Sylvanas tells her that death comes from us all. I wonder if the Titans feel the same way, equally determined that they won't ever die, and so have taken measures to fix the Shadowlands so that they won't. I know creatures from the other cosmological forces aren't supposed to go to the realm of death when they die. They go to the Twisting Nether or their own realms. But at the same time, Zereth Mortis contains an...
She brings up a point, because throughout all the Shadowlands, there's those Devourer monsters coming out. Where there's the big, stompy ones with their arms and such, looking very primate style. Or the ones that you can basically collect as a mount. Or the smaller ones that are like little raptor-looking things. So they have a big old hole in their mouth. Point being, those things are not supposed to be in the Shadowlands. Those things were just... They travel to wherever there's a lot of anima, or power that they want. We find them again over in Midnight, when they go to the outer floating isles that was once Koresh, right? They're there in areas as well. But they're just going around eating anima, power, things like that. So, yeah.
area that's supposed to house cosmic souls. I've always found that a bit inconsistent. But I also wonder how a Titan-constructed Shadowlands might have affected things. What we do know for sure is that the Titans have successfully survived death at least once. Maybe because of something they put into place. We also know that the Titans have apparently been to Zereth Ordis, which should have been forbidden to them. We know that something about the Shadowlands is too ordered, that the first ones have disappeared, that a prison-like structure hangs in the very ordered-looking Zereth Mortis, and that there's a giant construction complete with Titan-like machinery and a constellar that's basically called the Tomb of the First Ones nearby. The Shadowlands may just be another perversion of death, like undeath itself. Instead of souls moving on, they're being stopped, fed into this machine where they act as fuel. Sylvanas says of all people, she really understands death. She also really understands undeath and why it's a curse. She can probably see that the people of the Shadowlands are not that much different from the Forsaken, trapped in another form of endless, eternal undeath. Sylvanas never got to die. Arthas took that from her, but she still hasn't been able to move on. If the Shadowlands is a Titan machine, then it would be really good to see Sylvanas dismantle it, so that she can finally go to her rest. Her rest. There shouldn't be jobs in the Shadowlands. The fact that people have jobs there was always a red flag that has been denied to her for so long. And bonus points if she helps to save Azeroth in the process. For now, if you enjoyed this video, remember you can like, subscribe, comment, share all the good YouTube stuff. You can also join me in thanking my patrons and super subscribers whose names you can see now. Finally, you can find me streaming both here and on Twitch. Or you're welcome to my Discord channel, where we have some really fun discussions about all things lore. Relevant links are below. So while that's all for now, hopefully I'll see you again soon.
Well, no, we already went over this. And the entire concept was when I started. Everything there is that they retconned it. And that because of Nobel and everybody else, everyone there is crazy, from what Blizzard has said. The first ones are the Titans. That's why everything looks so damned ordered. Death should be death. But even as we see, Alexandros, Kel'Thas, Kel'Thu fucking Zod. Well, I guess he had a phylactery. That's an entirely different problem. And then the characters that we grew up, watched die from vanilla to now, come up and be like, we are here. Even if it's just for a split fucking moment. Like when you go through the final raid and you come across Anduin and you beat Anduin. He is freed from Arthas' soul, who is the fucking middle part of Shaman, or Shalamorn, and his father's soul, with Sourfang's soul, are there to help him with honor as they split the sword in two for him, freeing him from the control of the Morn weapon, and sending Arthas off himself. Disappearing, but I'm hoping he comes back in the following expansion for Titan, and he has some kind of comeback of a death or a return of a paladin force of sorts, right? I don't know, they could retcon the entire concept of like, oh yeah, when he died, it was the same thing like Uther. There was one soul that was sent off to the Shadowlands, another soul that was sent off to the light or other place, right? So I don't know, I think I'd like that a lot. That would be really, really, in my opinion, it'd be nice. It would be that thing where you'd think, oh, yes, but kinda no-ish. Eh. Eh. I wanted to go over the game, and we'll go and do the new raid, because I also believe that is also, like in the beginning of this video, where we are told in the beginning that, you know, because of said raid, and its ending, close that. What do you mean, no? Which you go into the other one, unless I click this fucking thing 12 or 40 times. Wait for it to grab something. Or crash. That's always cool. That's always cool too. A lot of content. Oh, this was for Easter. Not do Easter. But no, I did like the video, but all of it just comes around to just be like, the Titans were the first. It sounded very heavily of just that this is the Titans first. Everything here is Titan based. Everything is what we were told at the end of the Shadowlands. The story was fucked up. This wasn't supposed to be the way it was played, and now, yeah. Now give me my character so we can go through the dungeon. Raid. Through the raid. I like the raid. I guess I don't really do competitive raiding stuff, but I do just do the LFR stuff just so I could get the lore stuff out of the way. Oh, God. Don't crash on me again. Come on. And then when I click anything, my stream just starts to have a heart attack. Come on. In the character list. I mean, granted, I don't think I really needed to play the game, but I guess I could just do it that way. It's easy, faster.
Your favorite movies and TV are on YouTube. Press.
Shut up.
What is wrong?
Josh. Oh, I can't join you. I'm already subscribed to you. I can't join you. I guess it's easier just to watch the cinematic. It's the March and Quill and Nuth, part of the raid.
You Windrunners. You just don't know when to lay down and...
Why is it not in? For a nicer quality one. That's 54 minutes of that shit. No, thank you. Just need the cinematic. I don't need the damn reaction either. Goddamn. I mean, at this point, I might as well just play it, right? Might as well just play it. Oh, I came over to Legion to finish up some stuff for her. You already do it? No, you didn't. You haven't done any of it. Might as well do this. Well, you gotta level up the alt with raids. God. How do you think I do it? Let me wait for a very long time because that's how the fucking game works. Waiting for a very... Oh yeah, let's see. Our wait time is 20 minutes. Up, go up, go up, go up. There we go. I didn't want that to happen. And then the fell thing comes by and is like, you were falling off, so I'm gonna help you back. No, my computer's just not registering as well as it should be. Internet connection is... Stop giving me options. I just... Stupid ass. Did it hurt? I guess it didn't. That's no bill. I don't want your reaction to it. I guess this is the best one that they have, so...
Down and die. You Windrunners. You just...
I don't like how it's...
Runners.
Yeah, it's not as smooth as I like.
You just
like,
don't
whatever.
know when to lay down and die.
Yep.
We Windrunners are just stubborn that way.
Yep.
You? I honestly didn't factor for you.
Death comes for all, Zalatan. Even your wretched kind.
We'll finish this another time, perhaps.
Then she dips into the underworld, right? Or not the underworld. She's dipping into the core of the earth, where the Titans have the structure that they're holding the soul in. That, I believe we all know is happening. I hope. And that's the reason why she dipped downwards. I know. It's supposed to be like, oh my god, why are you doing this and that, da da da. It's like, no, this is reasonable, even though her eyes are like just about barely shut. I paused it at the right moments when people look silly. But the last time Barisa, this one, saw her sister Sylvanas was in the Shadowlands when she was sent to penance for collecting all the souls who fell and were lost during the burning of Tillersil. So, yeah, there's 3 of these. Sylvanas is the emo cool one. She's the emotional one. And then Valeria, our main character at the moment, who is fighting Xalatoth and fell into that void stream that was going into the Sunwell. She fell in that. So her, Turalian, and Arator, and the Army of Light are down that well, probably in the center of the world, where the entire mechanism holding the world soul is. Yeah, kind of saddening. Or at least, just to note that we are probably going to go down there too. We will probably also, because what Sylvana says, we are also going back to the Shadowlands. And as the entire video of lore that we just watched, we are probably going back.
I thought you said you could never leave the Maw.
There are ways, nephew. But they do take their toll. Regardless, you told me that Silvermoon was in peril. That it needed its Ranger General one last time.
Sylvanas, if the Maw cannot hold you, then maybe there's a way back for you. Back to us.
My penance, my true work has only begun, little sister. The Shadowlands are not at all what they seem. I cannot rest until I've uncovered the truth. Still, I hope to see you both again.
But those lines is just going to imply that, oh, well, maybe Erator and Varys are probably going to be about, like, 2 things. About, I need to go find my parents. And the other thing being, I believe we should help them, her. That way she comes back faster and da-da-da-da, right? Or we follow her to do, as the video said, we're going to find what the problem is, destroy the big old locked prison thing, which actually makes sense now that you think about it. That big-ass orb in the middle of Zereth Mortis was powering the small little construct machine. That way you can upgrade your gear from whatever into a set piece. And I could imagine it's drawing power from the orb to do that, whatever is locked in there. Probably the soul of the Shadowlands and shit too, before it blew up. I want to say it was a world before it blew up, because it's set up almost how... It kind of looks almost on how Draenor looks, right? Or not Draenor, Outland. Outland. It's all busted and broken, but a lot more, as everything is more concentrated in areas. Floating landmasses. That's my opinion on that. Also the fact that in the beginning of the expansion, when we first came across Lorthraxion, the golden version, the holy version of a Dreadlord, who has given up everything just to be with the light, the first concept was like, we can resurrect him. The Shadowlands has the potential to resurrect them, as there is someone making them in the Venthyr area, in Revendreth. Someone in Revendreth is making them. She is the general who makes a bunch of them. That's why we see a bunch of them in... we see a bunch of them in Revendreth. In the first raid, there's an army of them waiting for you right before the boss. And they're 2 high generals. And then when they said, it's like, oh, but whenever your character says, like, oh, we thought they were Legion-based, because every time they would go through the Nether and appear back on their side, regenerating. But then find out, if they can't go back that way, they would go back through a different way to the Shadowlands. So that makes me think, when we kill Lorthraxion, when he gives in to the rage of the light, are we going to resurrect him so he can help us once again? Because I would believe Turalian would be like, I like this guy. He was showing the utmost faith, is just he let his rage get consumed. Which I can totally believe him being like, we should go there and resurrect him. Or we resurrect them and he's like, I don't think I should go back. My rage drove me crazy. And we're like, we're going to find a way to do it. It's like the same thing like in the Shadowlands and everyone. There's something stopping us from one thing or another. We're just going to build a legendary for it. Don't worry about it, guy. That's what I think.
Before the end begins.
True. So maybe in the next patch, that'd be cool. That cinematic works. This is just basically the rest of the cinematics. We just wanted that last one. The cinematic works. They're cool. My alt can do her things as she does by herself after this video. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And thank you for everything else in between that is probably or probably not helpful to me or you. Anyway, I think this is where it ends, and I'll leave it at that. I'll try to stream something tomorrow on Monday, probably more Overwatch or something else as the drive ends. And yeah, oh, it's an NPC. Goodbye.